Hello everyone, this is a follow-on from our second clan convention that we held a few days back. There was some very lively discussion at the end of it, which was great, but it did mean I didn't get around to answering everybody's questions. So I thought I'd go through all the questions that were posted in the chat and that I picked up, and I would give some answers now. So the first question we had raised was on the slide I was presenting some of the research on, and I'd said one of our intentions was to research the extent of the clan. The question was, what do you mean by extent of the clan? So what we see with the Watsons, frustratingly sometimes, is we see hints at links between different Watson clusters. What we are not always able to do is demonstrate that those are genuine links and that those different clusters are either related genetically or functioning in awareness of each other. If we could demonstrate that these clusters of Watsons we see in key locations across Scotland are functioning as a family, that would strengthen our case to demonstrate that the Watsons were actually a family of some influence in times past. So extent of the clan, really what we're trying to do is join up all of these different Watson clusters we see in prominent positions across Scotland and later the British Empire. There was a question on what do I mean by Watson armatures. So these are Watsons who have been awarded coats of arms by a recognised authority. Authorities we're talking about here are the Court of the Lord Lion in Scotland. You have a court in England that can do the same. There's one in Canada, and there's also a heraldic authority in Ireland. There are a few Watsons out there today who have coats of arms, and I just thought it'd be interesting to track them down and see whether they're interested in engaging with the society. So Watson armatures basically are people who have a recognised coat of arms that has been matriculated by a recognised authority. Another question, what can we in the States do to organise ourselves regionally? This really is up to you guys. I'm happy to provide the platform to join people together. What I need is people to volunteer to act as nuclei as we are joining people together and forming regions. So ideally I would have a volunteer from each region who could help me define what those regions are, what regions make sense, based on our member map, based on geography, and then we can reach out to people in those regions and see if they are interested in forming a regional chapter. And the idea of that would be that these regional chapters can organise their own attendance at events, perhaps even organise their own gatherings, and start to actually function as semi-autonomous units within our greater collective. But yeah, it's all contingent on volunteers. So if people are interested in either joining a regional assembly or chapter or helping to manage that, then you can contact me through the website, it's probably the best way, or through the Facebook group, or you can drop a comment on this video. Another question, also from North America, or from the USA, sorry, but it's relevant across the globe, is what can we do to engage with local Scottish societies and participate in their gatherings? So I put a choice few gatherings on the website for the different regions. These are mainly based on where we can send people, where we have people already attending, or where I think it's possible we could get people to attend. There are a few what I call umbrella societies. These exist to pull together the clan and family associations. So in the US you have one called COSCA, which is the Council of Scottish Clans and Associations. In Canada you have CASOC, which is the Clans and Scottish Societies of Canada. Australia you have the Scottish Australian Heritage Council, SAHC, and I'll provide links to these in the notes to the video. Now COSCA and CASOC have a full range of events on their websites. So you can go on there, you can search by region for the US, and there's a huge number of events on there. COSCA also have a list of different societies in the different regions that may be of interest, so Scottish societies and things like that. So I would say your first port of call is to go on there. If you find something that looks of interest and you want to attend, then please let me know. I'm quite happy to put the word out there, and this is how we will start to get an increased presence at some of these events. All it needs is one person to go saying I'm going. We can put the word out, and perhaps you'll get 2 or 3 or 4 more people coming the first year. Hopefully it'll snowball. What I see with SAHC in Australia, they do have their own events on the website, but I'm not sure there's a great number of Scottish-themed events down in Australia, or if there are, I'm struggling to find them. It is something I'm looking into. How can we get more engaged down that way? But yeah, first port of call, go on these websites, and I'll put the links in the video. Another question on family history research. So one person's managed to trace his lineage all the way back to 1700s in the Carolinas and Virginia, asking what's a better resource than Ancestry. So I am quite critical of Ancestry, but at the same time it is an excellent tool as long as you recognise its limitations. I would recommend anyone who's starting with their family history research, as they're going back from themselves to their parents to their parents, I would put that data into Ancestry. It is the quickest way to find hints at connections to other people that you may be descended from or related to. Where you have to be very, very careful is that there is no control over the data that people put in there. So I could put in a family tree demonstrating that I'm descended from Tarzan, I could upload it to Ancestry, and then anyone that clicks on the name in that tree will suddenly have a load of hints taking them back to Tarzan, and before you know it, you've got 200 people all believing they're descended from Tarzan. There is no control over what people add. What Ancestry does let you do is view some source records, and I would always say when you're researching your Ancestry, unless you have a primary source record that confirms the information you have found, treat it as to be verified. So Ancestry is fantastic. Also FamilySearch.com, that suffers from the same issue. There's no control over what people put into it. So again, I could put a completely fantasy tree in there and it would become real in many people's minds. And I think that website has an extra issue because it's run by the Church of Latter-day Saints, and that gives it an extra authenticity that perhaps it doesn't deserve. But again, it does let you access transcripts of records, but it doesn't often let you access the records themselves. So I would say Ancestry is actually a good resource, but use it within its limitations, and then back up everything you find with primary sources. And those you can find in the UK, you can get them from in Scotland from Scotland's People. That has all the official government and parish records on it that they've managed to digitise. In England, there's a website called FreeBMD, which will let you search the indices, the birth, marriage and death indices, and then you can go onto the government's website to pull out the subsequent records. There's also census sites available, and Ancestry can actually access some of the census returns. Passenger lists as well you can get from Ancestry, so if you're able to trace back to where your ancestors arrived in North America, if you can find the ship they sailed in, you may be able to find the passenger list for that ship. You may be able to find where that ship sailed from. That doesn't tell you where your ancestors came from, but it will tell you potentially where they embarked on their journey across to the New World. I did write an article on researching your family history for the latest edition of our web newsletter, and you can find that on our website. I also provided some links in there to some sites in the US, Canada, that are where the official records are held. So take a look there. And again, if there's any questions, ask them on the Facebook group, drop me a line. And the last question, not really a question, more of a comment. So one of the people responded to this question about researching Ancestry and said, you know, I'd love to connect, to share. If we are both researching in Carolina, Virginia, we're researching Watsons in that area, let's connect. Fully endorse that. That's partly, I mean, really, that's why I started this whole thing. I was doing my own research and I was keen to link in with other people and collaborate with other people who are researching their Watson ancestry and hopefully make grounds together, because if there's 2 or 3 of you working on a similar area, then potentially you find a lot of things more quickly. The Watson genealogy site is intended to help people do that, so I'm quite happy to take people's family tree information and upload it to the database there. As that database grows, the intention is people researching their Watson history can just go into it and search in there to see if they can find any Watsons that have popped up in their own research, because immediately you'll then find a link into someone else's tree, hopefully. Also, the Facebook group is quite lively with people researching their family history. So again, if you have a brick wall that you've hit, if you're struggling to find information in a particular area, there's no harm in asking there. There are usually people that will come along and attempt to answer. But yeah, I fully support people connecting to try and research their ancestry, and that was the whole reason I started this society. So again, any questions on that? If you need me to help me put you in touch, if you need maybe a bit of a steer with your research, drop me a line or put something on the Facebook group. And that was it really. That was the questions that I didn't get around to answering in the discussion we had after the convention or after the presentation the other week. So happy to take any more questions. Feel free to post them in the comments below this video. I'll do my best to answer them. The Facebook group, again, if you want to ask questions on there, you're more than welcome to. I will answer whatever I can. So I hope you found this of use, and look forward to seeing you for the next video.